Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Eric Nutting. I am the owner of the Growth Coach of St. Petersburg, Florida, founder of the Sage Approach, and none of that matters because what matters today is we are here with some incredible human beings. We call this group Sun Readers. It's part of a group called Sun Leaders, and we get the chance to cover a different book every quarter, and this is our first year. We did not have the chance to have a group discussion with Dr. Krystal White, who is our guest today, and she was our first book of this program, of Sun Readers program. The book that we did, and she's written several, and I want to have a chance to talk about that a little bit, but the book we worked on with her was Check-In, which is a process that Krystal shares with everybody. I myself have utilized it in my mediations, in my group coaching, so I'm excited to talk about that a little bit. And rather than me blabby blab, Dr. Krystal White, friend, fellow Sun Reader, Sun Leader, hello, good morning.
Hi. So thank you for the introduction, and it's really humbling to watch people read a book and then actually put it into use, because that's that's what reading is about, that we actually take whatever we have consumed basically, and then actually utilize it in some way. And so instead of kind of reviewing or explaining what check-in is about, we're gonna do a check-in. And it's something that if you come to my house for dinner, we do a check-in. If you come to a workshop on Zoom, we do a check-in. If you can come to a live program that I facilitate or I co-facilitate, we most likely do a check-in. And so kids from ages 4 all the way up to the other end of the spectrum can do it. So how it works is a leader chooses a prompt or a question, and everybody who is present answers the same prompt. And the only guidelines is that there's multiple ways you can interpret the prompt or question, and there's multiple ways you can answer it. And so it really is up to you how you perceive it and also what you choose to share. And the other guideline is everybody gets a round to share their first response without being interrupted by the other listeners or participants. So this creates a cohesive kind of answering opportunity, and it gives us a chance to actually step back and listen before we ask questions or we jump in or we have a singular conversation. So when somebody's answering, all you do is listen. And how we know it's our turn to go is that somebody volunteers to go first, and you call on who you'd like to hear from next until we've all gone. And then usually in a group, we process it just a little bit, but that's how check-in works. Do you guys have questions? Well, I think you guys don't, you'll have questions later, right? So today the check-in is what matters most in a fast-paced world. So whoever would like to volunteer to go first, and then you call on who you'd like to hear from, including me, until all 4 of us have gone. What matters most in a fast-paced world?
Yeah, so for me, it's focus. I have to determine what it is I want to accomplish or change, same thing. And I have to put my attention on that and try to keep my attention just on that and to slow down enough to do that, because I'm a product of the fast-paced world. I am a recipient. I am a participator of the fast-paced world until I say, no, I'm not doing that. And I'm really enjoying this week because, and it's typical for a lot of people, but for this week, I'm just, I'm doing a couple of things that I want to do. And I sell real estate for a living, and I have a closing today that I don't even have to be at because everybody's a mail away, and that's perfect. That's perfect for my slowdown for this week. So I've enjoyed spending time reflecting, but I have to slow down and I have to focus. So because I'm a shiny object person, I'm a squirrel person, and I know that about myself, so that's good. And so for me, it's slowing down and focusing. Thank you for asking that question, Josh.
Knew that was coming. It was a coin toss. I I love focus. That's a great one. So if I can't say that now, I'll say truth. I think it's a absolute problem, like disinformation. And I mean, anybody can write any news story, publish a fake scientific paper, whatever it is. For me, that's been a importance throughout my life is how do we understand what is, or how do we get closer to reality? So what's the closest we can get to reality objectively? Because then everything I think ripples from that. The way you treat others, the way you make decisions, whether you're in a leadership position or not, is based on the truth of facts or data that we're looking at, whether it be climate change, which is a real thing, by the way, or like political implications or whatever it may be, health, with like coronavirus and things like that. So I think truth and padding logic and reasoning and the scientific method into that is more important than ever today in order for people to rise above the noise and have actual, meaningful, accurate conversations that affects everybody who shares a reality, because that is a fact. And I'll throw it over to my main man, E-Nut.
Thank you, Jane. So, I've lived a somewhat hectic, chaotic life like all of us have. And I've worked out of the house for most of my life in one way, shape, or form. And we had 5 kids and other life forces running around. So there's part of the world that I had to slow down. And then we throw technology on it, which has been moving forward at a fast pace my whole life. And I think the challenge is always slowing the world down. So the easy answer for me is just quiet. I just have to create quiet. I don't even have to think. I don't even have to do deep thinking. I just need the world to shut up. I just need the noise to stop. And I do that sometimes by unplugging, leaving my phone behind all day. Like I won't even have it near me, which is a kind of a new thing within the last maybe year or two. Because I used to think everybody needed my immediate response. And then I realized, oh, goodness gracious, I'm not saving lives. I didn't know. And I thought I could think I was wrapped up in my own importance. And when we do this entrepreneur journey, somebody gets you and you think, oh, I'm going to lose business if I don't respond immediately. And I don't know. I need to slow the world down. And I do that by seeking quiet. And I don't even listen to the radio anymore. I used to listen, like if I was in the car, I'd have the radio on, listening to whatever horrible stuff was on the radio. I don't even listen to that anymore. Maybe sometimes talk radio. And that's why I do this motorcycle stuff, because there's just the noise of the road. So anyway, quiet, 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 quiet. All right, Krystal, it's your turn.
What matters most in a fast-paced world? Okay. I don't have any panacea, like medicinal answer, except for a trick. And I think that trick is the presence of our heart. And when I ask, like, how present is my heart here in this world? I think that's how I measure success by is my heart here, even if lots of things are going on around me. And I have both. I have lots of things going on around me, and then I have not a lot of things going around me. And if my heart can be present in all of those conditions, I feel like that is where the magic happens. And that's the quality indicator of connection is, can we be present together, and can we be present together from like something that's in here, that's inherent and can't be defined by our norms or our culture. I feel like that is the quality ingredient that helps us connect. At least it is for the people that I want to connect with, and am choosing more and more to serve and also follow. and inform or equip in some ways. So presence of the heart, my answer. I typically go that's the end of check-in. I always say this, people often choose me last because I'm so small. But I typically, when I go last, I could just go on and on because it's my floor and I'm an extrovert. And even though I've done this a billion times, and I probably have done it a billion times, I've done it at least a dozen times this quiet week. I don't know why, but sometimes when it's my turn to check in, it's like I just have so much to say. It's it's still a thing for me to manage, is being succinct with my responses when I'm the last person. When nobody's waiting on me, I still need to learn how to be succinct. So,
So if that's the end of check-in, am I allowed to start asking
of
questions?
course, yeah.
Okay, a few things. When you run check-in and you hear somebody and you're thinking, okay, and I know your thought process on this. You're as long as it takes, right? That's your thought process on it because you want everybody to be heard. That's part of this process. For me, when I facilitate it, I'm thinking, oh, this person needs to just kind of ramp it up a little bit. Do you ever think that?
Of course, yeah. Um, so typically what happens, especially when you first do check in, you're not even thinking that, right? Unless you are really emotionally intelligent, you've come in with those skills, or you come in with kind of group facilitation training, or you've run meetings, and it's like Carol said, you're focusing on bandwidth in a group, or you've been trained in extroversion and introversion, and you know how to um, wield the power of them both to serve the group. But there are always people, to be honest, that don't know how to manage their expressions. On the flip side, there are people who don't know how to manage their expressions and they undershare, right? And I can sense that too. And it's something that I put in the back of my head, if we're going to facilitate or work together in the future, that is an opportunity for them both to grow in their public articulations of values and needs and ideas, that we need to work on both.
So
Yeah.
as a facilitator in the moment, are you saying that you just kind of catalog it and think, okay, we'll deal with that next time I'm with this person? Or do you have a tool in the moment to manage that?
For me as a facilitator, most of it is nonverbal. And if the speaker is physically in a room, there are so many nonverbal signals people give people who are going over and over and over. They're just, right? They just haven't tuned into those signals. And equally so, there are also signals when you're like, come on, man, give me more. Because we all took up some space here, but there are people that are like, well, what matters most is quietness. I think that's what matters most. And then move on. And you're like, oh man, I don't know anything about this person except for quietness. And we don't give them cues as much as we give the oversharer cues. So it's just really important to be thinking about what gets our focus and what gets our attention. And it's the people who actually undershare that I'm more like cued into, for me.
So a key component of this process is making sure the group has some safety to share throughout whatever session we're running, right?
I think it's implicit also in the culture, whatever culture you run. For example, that undersharing, if you're at a family dinner, 80% of the time, you've got a stranger and you've got a teenager in the room, 80% of the time, they're going to be like, how quickly can I get this over with? Right? So that's a culture. But if it was just a group of teenagers and I come in without like the family system, then it's the culture that you ask the question in, and the nature of the question. Because if you don't have a lot of time, you could ask a question that's very punctuated. Like, like very, very punctuated. Like, what's your favorite? Well, we did one in Mindful Men, which is, what's your favorite dinosaur? And it turned out to be one of the best philosophical leadership questions of 2023. That was 2023.
Hmm.
But you could ask a very punctuated question like, what's something you missed a deadline in this week, right? And people can just be very concrete with the questions. So you can't control that, but there are ways that the culture can actually set up both safety and efficiency or emotionality or vulnerability, um, or whatever it is. So the question and the culture kind of can set some conditions for how much or the quality of what people share.
The question. So as a facilitator and you have the person that's going on and on and on, and I'm one of those that it makes me nuts when they do that. How do you, because they're not paying attention to the nonverbal cues at all. How do you rein it in, or do you?
So that's a tricky thing. So if it's your first time and it just depends on how much trust you have with this person. Because if Eric was doing that, or if I was doing that, I'd be like, "Yo, wrap it up," in front of everybody, and I'd have no problem doing that. If it's a brand new person, like let's just say men come to Mindful Men without sometimes knowing I'm facilitating it or leading it, and they come just seeing a sign, right? And they don't know what check-in. They don't expect check-in. And we sometimes do get people who now are on a third topic, and I do just let that go. Um, and when I say let it go, is just we're learning a lot about that human, and we're building trust by allowing them to do what they usually do. And we don't have agreements or anything. I don't have any agreements in that moment to shape him or him in this case into a better space sharer, conversational space sharer. But if we're out of check-in and they start doing that, I will interrupt a perfect stranger and being like, "Hey, you lost me. We got to move on." Or can you say it again in one sentence? But usually I don't do that in check-in. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that's not what I wanted to hear, but but it's an answer. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So I was always taught in facilitation and reminded over and over, you let people be themselves before you come in and observe, like Josh was talking about, observing reality. You let them do it before you come in and you prompt them. Because it's way more powerful to say, "Hey, Eric, I noticed it's your first check-in and I noticed, you shared a lot. Is that typical for you?" And then you're bringing insight because most people, when they're sharing, they don't have that insight, right? Well, and so that's the gift of leadership is making observations without judgment, and that's leadership. And I don't think I came up with that. It was like, I think this is, I forget her last name, Susan, but she wrote Fierce Conversations, and she said, the person that describes reality without judgment will emerge as the leader. And we can do that outside of check-in. The check-in sets us up in order to really see and observe people. But if we start to manage them, they get socialized and they're not in their natural kind of way of doing things.
Mhm.
It's much harder.
And they don't trust anymore
Right.
because you set them off. Okay.
Really quick, there's also ways that like corporations or particular cultures intentionally do not do check-ins in order to keep people in a box and confined and under whatever, I don't know, in that box. So that made me think of that. Just wanted to chime in on that.
For sure. So my theory on that, and I've seen it, and I worked with the Department of Defense, there's always people who are like, "We don't have time for check-in." And I said, "Well, then let's make it very short, make 5 minutes." But the minute we stop doing check-in is the minute we start to objectify people. And it's so easy to get people to do things transactionally for us if we objectify them. But check-in helps us remember that they have all these sorts of humanness. And so I think sometimes it is both out of incompetence and then also lack of training, and then also very specifically where people don't want to hear from one another, right? It's incompetence, not trained, or specifically part of their strategy for guiding people or getting them to do what you want them to do.
And I think that overall strategy informs everything else because that strategy is so strong and that gets people used to a routine of not checking in. And therefore, they're just a cog in a wheel. And now they're just part of the machine, which is normalized all from that strategy. I think a check-in could actually solve a lot of problems done right. It's a powerful book.
Yeah, thank you. I did not create the process. It's like
Hmm.
it's a it's a repeated recipe from multiple disciplines that the book is a manual of how to do it, where to do it, why to do it. And it's like I didn't invent it. I just like captured it here. And there's multiple ways you can do it. I do believe that if all we did is check in more and it became more conventionalized, that it would set the necessary conditions for other dynamics and groups to emerge that are more just and more challenging, to be honest, to manage. But it would. I think we're up for it now. I think we're getting more and more willing to do it. So, and you guys are evidence of that. So, thank you.
So a couple of things on that. First of all, just as a side note, Josh and I went to the Center for Health Equity, and Krystal, I shared it with you after we did it because I was so excited that somebody was doing this. They connected to some Indian tribe, Josh. Wasn't that right? I can't remember what tribe it was.
Yeah. I couldn't remember the specifics, but it was really cool.
Yeah, it
Very
was.
impactful.
And Krystal, I hope at some point in time I can get you out to the Center for Health Equity and just kind of live through that experience. I think you would really enjoy it, being a leader in this tool. But a place where I struggle in check-in is if I have a larger group, and it must be the way I'm explaining it, because sometimes people will jump in and want to participate in a conversation before everybody has a chance to check in. And that's really diffusing the power of check-in, right?
Yeah, for sure. But it's also like life where people aren't listening. What you're saying is not actually being heard, and there's like just something else interfering, or it could be, for me, sometimes I'm not very succinct and clear in my instructions. And for other people, it's like that person was in their head having another conversation while listening to you. So it's always something where you get to say, hey, stay within yourself. That's like one thing. I hope I put that in the book. Stay within yourself, or hold your questions till the end, or not right now, or like sometimes physically it helps so much more energetically when you could just put your hand down and be like, hold that thought. There's no interruptions while somebody's sharing. And so it is disruptive, but at the same time, when you hold the guidelines, you hold the group to the standards of it, then they see the facilitator as doing what they said they would do and, honoring the guidelines. And oftentimes we have leaders who say this is what the guidelines are, but they aren't willing to show. I will intervene when the guidelines aren't being met. And so it's sticky, but it's more, what's more important is you're upholding the process for the group's benefit, not for your benefit to be like, I caught you. And believe me, if you catch somebody doing that, they are never going to do it again. I've never seen somebody repeat twice, interrupt, because most of the time they're overly excited or they just weren't listening. But I've never, ever had anybody do it twice.
It's time to stop thinking about your website like a car. Instead, think of it like a home, because you want it to be an asset. Like a home, assets appreciate in value. And that new car is going to lose a significant chunk of its value as soon as you drive it off the lot. Luckily, Name Creative is here to help you build your dream home. We will make your website appreciate over time, so you're able to publish quality, user-focused content at a high pace, own it, so it's yours to build and scale your business systems, be resilient to technology and security changes, keep it fast, safe, and secure with regular maintenance, and generate more leads. Contact us today at info@nameandcreative.com or visit our website at nameandcreative.com to get started.
That was my classy timer going off, which tells us we've got 5 minutes. I want to bring Carrie into the conversation. Carrie, thanks for joining us. I know you had some business.
Speaking of interrupting,
Nah, I'm glad you're here.
yeah, I told Eric I had a client that said, "Hey, can we do this at 9?" I said, "Sure." And of course he just bought, so I can't complain.
Well, that's, first of all, congratulations on that. That's awesome. That's always great news.
So you want the good or bad news is this is just I'm going to stop going anywhere else other than sitting at my desk and doing Zoom calls. That's where the money is.
Absolutely.
I'm kidding.
We're in the process of just kind of really wrapping up because we've got to get Krystal on the road in 5 minutes. Should we do a quick check-in with Carrie?
Yeah, Carrie, what matters most in a fast-paced moving world?
What matters most in my fast-paced living world? Is that what you said?
Fast-paced moving, fast-paced.
Slowing down.
Perfect.
I don't know. That's the right answer. What matter? Well, Eric knows this. Pick one of the 9 and get it done. Right, Eric? Is that what we said?
That's almost a direct quote. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think that's yeah. I think for me, as I very fondly tell anybody who asks, including the psychiatrist, I said my Adderall, I think, is actually what it is because the adult, it's a generic, but my Adderall is really good at letting me focus. It's really bad at telling me what to focus on. And medicine doesn't do that. So my focus, I think, for my check-in is to really get better at that. And I think a big thing, and this is where whether it'll be something I do with Eric or a counselor of some sort, is to really determine if the things that I've been holding on to as bucket list dreams are important enough for me to keep holding on to them.
Yeah.
And feeling, I don't want to say disappointed because maybe that's what is, how is it still important? Because it definitely consumes a lot of this space. So I think that would be a big focus for me moving forward.
Yeah, Carrie, so you didn't hear our check-ins, of course, but you just basically took Carol and Eric's and made a combination answer of like both focus and slowing down. And it's just it's fascinating because you didn't hear. If you would have heard, you would have picked something completely different. Most of us like to be special in our check-ins. But it's very fascinating when somebody joins and they say something, it's validating to the whole group that these things actually, it's not rocket science. We have the wisdom within us and the group carries a lot of wisdom. And if we just give people the opportunity to share, then we basically have a roadmap to an awesome life together, right? If we just
So I'm going to ask a quick question, and you'll forgive my vulnerability in asking this, only because honestly, it's been a while. But is there a specific chapter somewhere that is check-in for families? I'm thinking with my entire family here. A couple of years ago, we did a goal setting thing, and then we talked about some other things, and maybe still doing something similar to that while they're here this weekend. But I didn't know. I thought maybe we could do a check-in, and I didn't know if there was a specific language for how that might read.
Yeah. So the instructions would be exactly the same. And I've done it with kids that are 3, exactly the same. And now those kids are like 11 or 12 and they'll run check-in when I'm there, meaning they'll come up with a question. But specifically, it's the same guidelines. It just requires somebody to facilitate coming up with a question. Sometimes with kids, I trick them to be engaged as I ask them to come up with a question instead of me leading it.
Well, just to clarify, the kids are 20, 30, and 32. So
Yeah, okay, your children that or your
adult children.
how do I say this? I said it in unconventional communities. It's helpful to say like you'll always be my son or daughter, but you won't always be my kid because they're not kids anymore; they're adults. So you're with your they're not children even. Right? They're not
Right.
children.
Well, and Eric knows because we've had some conversations. So that last sentence,
Yeah.
Eric, that last sentence may actually change in one case. So it'll be, which is a whole nother, that's a whole
Yeah.
nother.
But
Right,
but the guidelines are the same. And there's tons besides the book. There's 52 questions in the back of check-in, the book that I wrote. But
Right.
there's we've seen huge products on the market, like mass production of table questions that you can put on your dinner table. And there's like questions for families. And those are very inexpensive and easy to access. And they're more specific for families. But I would just use the questions in the back of the book.
I now have to intervene because we said hard stop at 9:35. Krystal, there's a national check-in day. That's April 10th.
It's April 10th.
April 10th, and somehow you made a national check-in day. That's pretty exciting. Then you're an author of several books. This is your latest. It is Unconventional Communities. It's excellent.
I just
You have
took a deep breath.
several books,
I'm like, "Oh."
right? And you're probably working on maybe another one coming up, maybe?
Yeah.
And then you have a couple of groups, Free Leadership. You mentioned Mindful Men, which is part of Free Leadership, right?
Yeah.
Just succinctly, so we can let you go, what do you want our audience to know about you and how we can interact with you and your work?
Yeah. Good question. I believe Free Leadership is a 501(c)(3), so it's a nonprofit. It's unrelated to well, there's connections to my authorship. And I want to be clear, I don't write books for money. It really is to be a messenger and to have it and have that information available for people to do whatever they want to do with it. The most important way that you can get engaged is by what you guys are doing, which is taking something that you read and then having social conversations about it, with it, and using it. So Unconventional Communities has 6 main themes that communities dynamics that they can adopt. And I do think it's incumbent on any person that calls himself a leader and is involved in group facilitation to read that book and to be looking at the dynamics of how we connect and how we interact in order to shift us into the next highest state we can have as humans together. So please read the book. You can reach out to me at Free Leadership Inc. or my business is called The Executive Shaman. You can email me, Krystal at theexecutiveshaman.com. I will have a group that goes over these 6 disciplines in a 3-month period so that you can read the book, but also practice the skills and creating those dynamics with me. And if that's of interest to you, then you just have to reach out to me at this time.
Awesome. Okay.
Oh,
I need
awesome.
to release you.
Yes, thank you.
So
I appreciate it.
happy New Year. I hope 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Krystal, for being our first Sun Readers author and Sun Leaders. It means a lot.
you.
I'm glad we were able to retroactively come back and do this.
Yeah.
And it sounds like maybe we can have a returning author and read your other book, one of your other books in the future. We got a couple more lined up, but
Yeah, of
we're up
course.
for it.
Yeah, isn't it so heartwarming when you really do consider it, how many tools there are out there for us to really become the us that we want to be. And I know that this group and any group that we start, right? There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And I do commend you for blazing the trail. And I just wish that your hearts are also full. And if there's a way that I can facilitate the presence of your heart or whatever, then you guys reach out to me. But I think it's 2025 is going to be a wild ride, and it is going to be like nothing we've ever experienced before. And we will need our mentors and our guides and our allies and our friends to not only bring us hope, but also to bring to show us their skills, because we're going to need a whole big toolbox. So
Right.
Thanks for that.
yay!
Yep.
And there's
Thank
this thing
you all.
about you
Thank you,
don't have
guys.
to be a boss to be a leader, right? You don't have to
You don't have to be the boss to be the leader. You just got to and be present.
Care, Krystal. Thanks.
We're still recording. I think we'll just do a quick round the table because we didn't have a chance to really introduce ourselves. And with the thousands of people, viewers and listeners out there, I want to make sure everybody has a chance to say hello. So let's, on my screen, Carol, you are first up. What should we know about you? And what do you look forward to in 2025?
Great question, Eric. Thank you. I'm Carol Hasbrook. I'm the author of the book 10,000 Miles of Miracles, which you can find on Amazon under the same name. And it's about a journey I took traveling 10,000 miles and doing volunteer work across the country with a friend. It was completely God inspired and God led and donation based. We left home with $500. We had no idea how we were going to do it, but by golly, we made it 3.5 months and 10,000 miles through the blessings of people and the direction of God. So what I have in store for 2025 is taking that book on the road and sharing the messages of that book with others. And I'm scared, and that's good because it means I'm getting out of my comfort zone. And my check-in was focus. So I am determined to focus on that new part of my business. I also help people create memories in their homes by buying and selling real estate. I'm kind of like caught between the two, but it's okay. I can work it out. I've got Eric helping me as a business coach. Eventually, once I get going, I'll have Josh helping me with my marketing. And who knows, Carrie, there might be a jingle in there for me.
I'm thinking for sure an entry music for your speaking engagements, 100%. But we just need to make it. We'll make it dual use, because if the music and the sound and the theme works, we can use it for your real estate marketing too.
Perfect.
Double value, and then I was thinking that.
Excited.
While you were saying that, I was thinking you need like the baseball. You need walk up music.
Yes. So, and I like what I just said, that I'm taking the book on the road. For me, that sounds much more comfortable than I'm becoming a motivational speaker. So that's when we're working on this, just so Eric and Josh and Carrie know, that's my goal, is take the book on the road. I went on the road. Now I'm going to take the book on the road.
Are you going back to the places you went?
I certainly could. That's a great idea.
Be cool.
Great idea, because we had wonderful media coverage and of course lots of support. So thank you for that idea. Yeah.
And then write a book about that and call it Another 10,000 Miles of Marriage.
Oh,
Mike, do it again.
Mic drop. But I would definitely go to number one. If you literally had media coverage in those places, go to those media people and say, "Hey, they'll have you on and maybe promote, your talk." That could be that'd be.
Yeah, we had great media coverage. I worked hard at getting that media coverage, but what we were called Dames Gone Wild, and I'm sure that's what got us the media coverage. Like, who are these ladies? But we didn't take our tops off.
Right.
So for anybody who's
I'm
watching,
too old for that.
who's ever watching this recording, we recorded
The views of the speaker are not necessary.
We recorded a book discussion with Carol because we had the chance she shared her book with us during our Sun Readers experience. So go back and listen to that and reach out to Carol. And we're excited to see that and you take the road here coming up in 2025. Josh, you're next on the screen. What should we know about you?
All right. Well, I founded Sun Leaders, so I just appreciate everyone here on this call. Krystal for being our first author, Carol for you being an author, for you guys being on the leadership team, to everybody listening. It's really amazing, the community we've built. And so for 2025, we're gonna expand that and also tighten it. We've been covering how we've been really focusing what Sun Leaders is trying to accomplish, and then, aligning our programming accordingly, and really working on enhancing people's leadership skills, personally and professionally. So that's on the Sun Leaders front. There's so many things: Sun Leaders, fun leaders. It's all fun. And if you're interested, just go to sunleaders.org and you can get more information, or, check out the other podcast episodes, subscribe to it. This will be, maybe episode 60. 57 just came out. It was actually an interview with Carol interviewed me, which was really great. I look forward to listening back on that. But there's tons of great, engaging conversations. But my full-time gig is I'm CEO and founder of Name and Creative, which is a creative production and marketing agency. So we help grow businesses. We help propel people to meet their goals and achieve their dreams whatever their vision entails. And yeah, that's just a blast. Specifically for 2025, something new that I've been cooking up, we're going to really focus on families so we can start hitting B2C. And ultimately, I just released it to my family. I created the namans.com, and it's password protected, so you can't see. But ultimately, that's a hub for us, and every one of us in the family has an account, and we can publish articles, whether it be a recipe or a memory or a travel or a book review, and it'll be an index, a repository for all of our family memories in one spot. And so what I'm planning on doing is templating that out. So another family, for instance, Carrie's family, if you wanted to buy that, you get the website free and you pay monthly to keep that alive. And it's going to be seriously affordable. And then on top of that, we're going to work on family podcasts. So we're calling them family casts. So you could also get a family cast. Your family could have a shared podcast and also have that on there. So you can document your history in audio form. So that's a focus of 2025, which I'm really looking forward to.
It's very, very exciting. Since you and I get the chance to be around each other a lot, I hear a lot of these ideas from the beginning and how you pull them all together. It's very, very exciting, this idea. So
Thanks.
2025, growing family, growing business, it's going to be incredible. All right. Carrie, you're next.
Oh, okay. I thought you were next because I was last to the call, but sure. So I too, I guess, am an author, two-time best-selling author, actually, a chapter's worth of an author for a book called, the second one is called How to Maximize Your Network. We have a third one coming out called Networking is Not a Dirty Word. And it's really interesting. I never really thought about, I don't do much with it because, it's not my speaking. When I speak, I really haven't gone on tour to speak about networking. It's more about, marketing and branding and giving a fun talk about, the history and the background and the value in musical branding, of course. So, but I'm excited about a lot of things coming up. But yes, as Carol mentioned, I am the jingle writer, as you can read behind me. So a lot of fun, exciting things. If I can, as I've shared with Eric, compartmentalize them so I can do them all in a, don't let any one overrun and overtake the others. Because I think that's the biggest challenge we all have is we only have so many hours in a day. And, we want to be able to focus on the things that we're excited about. Like, I think Josh can attest to the fact that I think it's been at least 6-8 months we've been swearing we're going to get in and put those vocals together, but we just, business and life gets the way, we haven't done it. So we'll do it eventually, but
We certainly will.
but yeah. So but I love your idea. We actually, my family has, ever since COVID, had a weekly family chat that we do every Sunday on Zoom. And it's really, some weeks, less exciting information shared than others, but it's a way to keep in touch, and it's really kind of cool. So I think your idea has some opportunities to market, brand, and scale. And I would even, once it's up and running, I might suggest put it in front of the 1 Million Cups community one Wednesday morning coming up, and get there, because they'll tell you they love it, rip it apart, and give you all the great feedback you could possibly want to tweak it, improve it. I'm getting ready to launch. I believe, I keep saying it, and we're really close, an actual e-commerce site that I'm pretty excited about. And once I get all the logistics on the back end done, and that's going to be really, that's, speaking of 6 years later, taking it off the back burner up to the front, and now going to launch, which I'm excited about. And yeah, pretty exciting year coming up if I can keep it all together. My second song for a musical I'm working on yesterday.
Oh, so there's a lot of stuff going on, and that is how long it takes sometimes, isn't it? I mean, some of these projects, they come forward when they're supposed to come forward.
Well, and I think I shared with you, one of my dreams is to write a musical, and musicals that get to Broadway, they're 6, 7, 8 year projects, most of them, sometimes more. So you gotta, if you're going to do it, you got to be committed for the long haul. So
Awesome. Yeah, I look forward to all of that. Okay. So, Carol, Josh, Carrie, thank you so much for being part of this book discussion. Our guest today was Dr. Krystal White, author of the book Check-In. Her latest book is Unconventional Communities. It was a pleasure to have her here as well as everybody in the discussion. We're looking forward to an exciting 2025. Listeners, viewers, please engage with us if you have questions. Any one of us would be happy to have that conversation. And of course, follow us at sunleaders.org. I'm Eric Nutting, owner of the Growth Coach of St. Petersburg, Florida. Until next time, we will see you soon on the Sun Leaders podcast.